Hey everybody, this is Cameron from Noxious Anonymous. Kind of taking a break at the moment from the Twin Peaks commentaries and just wanted to record a little Twin Peaks thought of the day. I'm here all by my lonesome. Hopefully, some of you guys will be showing up soon and we can talk and you guys can ask me questions. James is probably asleep. Joe is under the weather right now. Eric is currently at the Fire Walk With Me screening in Snoqualmie, Washington, so I'm sure he's having a blast. Um, anyway, I just wanted to come and join with, and talk with all you guys about Twin Peaks. We're 9 days away. That's pretty insane to think about it. I'm going to be doing a few more commentaries this weekend and throughout the week, and just getting ready for the new show, the new season. And all right, so let's get talking. Earlier today, this morning actually, a new sort of teaser came out on YouTube on the Showtime channel. It's called Twin Peaks: The Phenomenon. It's a 4-minute, 55-second little teaser, and I have to tell you, I was underwhelmed. Let's just put it that way. Is it a terrible teaser thing? No. I mean, it's basically a promotional thing. I mean, they're not showing new footage or anything like that, but the intent of it is basically to get new viewers interested in this show that's coming back. The thing is that if new viewers are interested in this show coming back, they would be interested from word of mouth. They would be interested in seeing the legitimate teasers that have been released in terms of new footage or things like that. This idea of telling the young generation that Twin Peaks was an important show 25 plus years ago, so that's one reason why you have to watch this new season. I gotta tell you, this kind of marketing typically backfires. There's gonna be a huge turnout for the new show, don't get me wrong, but to tell young people you need to be hyped about this show because your parents were hyped about this show 25 plus years ago. Yeah, a lot of people typically will just kind of shy away from that kind of thing. So it's not the best tool to go with. And they just have people on there that, I don't know. I mean, Lynch looks tired and like he doesn't want to be there. And then they bring in the typical, talking heads that you see on a lot of these cultural phenomenon shows. Whenever people talk about those, and then you have, the guy who runs the Welcome to Twin Peaks website, and which is kind of controversial in itself, considering that, he. I don't know. I know that him and other Twin Peaks pages typically, I don't know about anymore, but I know there's been a lot of fighting within the Twin Peaks community, and he was part of it, and the other, and James has been on this channel, he's been part of it too, and I just kind of stay away from all that nonsense. But the problem is that, I don't know. Sometimes you get blamed just because you kind of take an impartial thing because it's like I'm not involved. I have no horse in this race. So, but John Thorne's on there who did the Wrapped in Plastic, and he's been really nice to a lot of people that I know. So it was good for him to be on there. But I don't know. I just think this particular teaser, it was not made for fans. It was not made for us. It was made for new people. But looking at it from the perspective of somebody who never heard of Twin Peaks, if I saw this show, this teaser, and it's kind of like preaching to you that you should watch this show because how important it was 25 years ago. Well, people don't care about 25 years ago. They barely care about last week. So I think a lot of people that this is targeting are going to show up that first night, see one or two episodes, and then say it's like the worst thing ever, and why did anybody watch this, and Twin Peaks is an overrated piece of crap, and that type of thing. and just gets me thinking again how much it's going to be this. It's going to be the two camps. It's going to be the Fox News and MSNBC thing. When it comes to Twin Peaks, when it premieres next Sunday. There's gonna be one camp that's just like, this is brilliant, this is the best work Lynch has ever done. There's gonna be another camp saying, this is horrible, this is terrible. Twin Peaks never should have come back. It was a flash in the pan. It was a one-hit wonder. And I got news for you. Both of those points of views will be wrong. Both, because you might really enjoy it. That's not. I'm not discrediting that. Or you may really not enjoy it. And I'm not discrediting that. But you can't say it's the best thing Lynch has ever done. You can't say it's the worst thing that's ever come out, because we haven't seen the whole thing. And who knows? I mean, the first 2-3 hours could be, scratching our heads and what the hell is all this about? And then episode 14 and 15 could just pull it all together. And so, it's very well possible this is gonna be just a giant, mind bender, and we might not even know what's going on until hour 12. So I don't think, it's gonna be hard, because we're such an impulsive internet culture today that we want to just praise things or condemn things, within the first 15 minutes of seeing something. But again, we're seeing 2 to 4 hours that first night of an 18-hour film. It was made as one film and then cut up. So, try to just keep that in mind. It's going to be interesting. I mean, next Sunday, think about it, next Sunday, we are going to have seen the equivalent, more or less, of 2 Fire Walk With Me's in the same day. That's a whole lot of Twin Peaks to digest in one day. I mean, it's been a long time, and we haven't had new Twin Peaks since that Missing Pieces thing came out a couple years ago. But before that, it was a really long time. So imagine getting, a new Fire Walk With Me and another Missing Pieces within an hour or two of on Sunday night. It's going to be crazy. I've talked with so many people who are saying, like, God, might have to call in at work the next day, or thank God I have Monday off. I get it, man, because you're going to be up all night. Whether you're happy with the show or not happy with the show, your adrenaline is just going to be pumping. I mean, you're not going to be able to sleep. Remember when the show was originally on and you would watch like one episode and then you would immediately like call your friends and be like, oh my God, you see this? And what do you think this means? And da, 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 da. We're going to get 4 hours of this, and I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to want, me and a few others that do videos about this and all that. So who knows when I'm going to be going to sleep Sunday night. So I'm trying to like rest up as much as I can, because it's going to be just a wild, wild, wild night. But anyway, I see Todd asked the question about whether I'm going to be doing any commentaries tonight. Depends how long this video goes and whether my voice can handle it. I'd like to, but I will definitely be doing a few more this weekend. And then whatever I don't do this weekend, I'll carry over through the week. My plan is to have the pilot through Laura's murder being solved done before the new season starts. So I have 11 more commentaries to do before next Sunday. And I was hoping to bang out a few tonight, but I was just kind of like, I'm not really feeling in the mood to like do a solo commentary right now. But I felt like, hey, why don't I just get on here and kind of talk with you guys all about Twin Peaks and do a Twin Peaks Thought of the Day, which I've never done alone, I don't think. I'm usually with somebody. So, these are always really hard to do alone, or videos alone, I should say, not the Twin Peaks ones. But if you guys send in comments or questions, obviously this will go a whole lot smoother. But yeah, I just, I'm always excited by these new Twin Peaks teasers coming out. And then when I saw this one, I was like, wow, that was so underwhelming. It was entertaining. It was great to see, but, it's not one of these things where I would like immediately send it out to people like, you got to see this. because, like I said, it's designed more or less for newbies. And Lynch looks really, really tired in it. James contacted me earlier today saying that he saw another recent interview with David Lynch, and he doesn't look quite so tired. So he's thinking it's maybe just this Showtime promo. I hope so, because I don't want to see him looking this like sick and sad. He looks just burnt out in this teaser. So anyway, apparently there's going to be a part 2, so hopefully that one will be even better, because this one about the phenomenon, this whole thing about, they're also revising history a little bit in terms of these Twin Peaks parties and these, that was happening, but it wasn't happening all over the nation. It was only in like select people's houses in like select cities. They made it sound like every night was a party. Yeah, Todd says that David Lynch is 71 years old. I gotta tell you, I'm a little nervous. I'm afraid I don't know. I don't even want to say it out loud, but I'm thinking it, so you guys are gonna want to know what I was thinking. But I don't want a Stanley Kubrick situation. Stanley Kubrick worked his ass off to get Eyes Wide Shut finished, and then he got it finished, and then his body was at peace because he finished it, and then he had a heart attack and died. And here's an 18-hour film, the biggest film that or maybe not the biggest because he did Dune, but in terms of length, all right, this new Twin Peaks is the biggest film that Lynch has undertaken. And once it airs Sunday, he can kind of relax a little bit. And I don't want a similar situation. I don't want to be super happy that Twin Peaks is back. We got 4 hours of it, and then read Monday morning in the paper that David Lynch had a heart attack and died because he smokes 3 boxes of cigarettes a day. That would just, how could you be happy watching the new Twin Peaks? It's bad enough that we have so many actors, who have passed away in this new season. So it's we're looking at Miguel Ferrer and Catherine Coulson and probably a few others that have passed away, and that's really sad. It's great that they're in there, they're immortalized in the show, but it is really sad that we're basically watching a show with ghosts. And but I don't know, it's going to be interesting too, because one of the reasons why Twin Peaks, websites like Welcome to Twin Peaks, Joe and James Page bring back Twin Peaks that became Twin Peaks Worldwide, the reason why those and other Twin Peaks pages did so well when Facebook started was because Twin Peaks was over, and people wanted to talk about Twin Peaks and think about Twin Peaks and wish it would come back, or just kind of live in that world, because it ended on that cliffhanger. And even Fire Walk With Me, even though it kind of ends in a very hauntingly poetic way, still is a cliffhanger. You have Laura and Cooper trapped in the waiting room or Black Lodge, or however you want to think about it, and they're safe in this kind of hellhole, while Cooper as Bob is out in the world, wrecking havoc. It's Adamo says he wants to see Ronnie Rocket after this. I think that's actually a possibility. It's been kind of stewing around in my head, thinking that if this is a success, if this does well, Netflix will probably offer Lynch a couple picture deal for their website, maybe a limited theatrical, and I could see him resurrecting Ronnie Rocket for Netflix. I could see that happening, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, what I was saying about the websites, they thrived because Twin Peaks was something that just made people dream and think about, and they loved the pictures and the memes and all that stuff. That it's something that was kind of, even though it was complete, it really wasn't complete because there was so many unanswered questions. So now we have this new season's coming out, and then we get the second installment of Mark Frost's book coming out in the fall. And that, I think that's called the final dossier, right? So that is going to be the end, right? I mean, I know Lynch and Frost have said, hey, if there's a want for more Twin Peaks, there could be more Twin Peaks, but they kind of plan this to be kind of a one and done thing. And then obviously Mark Frost's book called The Final Dossier, that seems to be that it would be the final thing. Um, but I'm curious, if Twin Peaks is a huge hit, would Lynch and Frost come back for a season 4? I mean, and then maybe a season 5? Is Cooper gonna die in this new season? I mean, if he does, the goodbye season 4. That's not happening. Um, I was talking about last night though. Leonard says I'd like to see a Mulholland Drive series. Yeah, it would have been really interesting to see what that series would have been. If ABC had not pulled it from their roster. Yeah, that would have been it would not have been like the movie, I'll tell you that much. And I love the movie, but it would have gone in completely different directions. And it's interesting, huh? On the Criterion disc that that Lynch included that missing scene with Robert Forster, but he didn't include any of the other missing scenes from the pilot, which is interesting. I'm sure most of you have seen the pilot, and there's quite a bit of little lines or shots that weren't included in the movie. So I wish all those had been included. In fact, I wish Criterion had gotten the rights so that we could have gotten the pilot in HD as well as the movie. That would have been great. I think that would have been just an amazing package. Maybe that will happen one day. I don't know. I'd still like to see Wild at Heart released uncut. I know it was it's just 1 second of film that was altered when Willem Dafoe's head gets blown off. And I know other Blu-rays and DVDs have had that shot untampered with overseas, but it's never been released here in the States uncut. I mean, it's only 1 second, but still, it's let's have the version in our homes that won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival in 1990. That would be amazing. Anyway, so going back to what I was saying about the websites, they thrive because of this. Because Twin Peaks was not quite done, at least in our heads, even though Lynch and Frost had not quite entirely tipped their hand yet that they were working on it. So I'm curious to see, after this new season's over and after the Final Dossier hits, if that is truly the end of this incarnation of Twin Peaks, because I have a feeling at some point it will get resurrected. Anything with this big of an IP will definitely be played with at a later date. I'm curious to see what's going to happen to those websites, because Star Wars websites are thriving because Star Wars is happening right now. But once Twin Peaks is over, I mean, Twin Peaks is already a niche thing, right? But once Twin Peaks is over, will people continue to go back to those Facebook pages and those websites? Will there be enough mystery to still discuss stuff, or will it be just beautifully closed, more or less closed off, and people will just go, great, we'll move on? Kind of like what they did with Veronica Mars, Veronica Mars was a huge popular show, and then once they got the movie, they kind of wrapped it all up, and then people were done with it. Same thing with Firefly. I mean, Firefly's got a comic book, but for the most part, people would love to see a sequel, but because there's closure to the series, more or less, it's just kind of thought of as this wonderful show with a finished movie afterwards. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Twin Peaks phenomenon continues after this new season, or will this new season, let's say the season's terrible, or let's say people really don't like it, but it is good. I mean, I could kill it too, and I know they're gonna play the first 2 hours at the Cannes Film Festival. What if it's booed there again? Who knows? I know Lynch is wanting to take it back there because he's trying to redeem the Fire Walk With Me premiere, but we can only hope for the best, but we gotta, as fans, also prepare for the worst. I've had so many people contact me saying, wait a minute, this new season, from what we've seen, doesn't look like Twin Peaks, it doesn't look like Fire Walk With Me, it looks like Inland Empire, which is what most Twin Peaks fans didn't want. But again, we're only seeing snippets. We're seeing little shots, one-lines, one-liners, and that's it. Yes, it has that kind of Inland Empire kind of sound design underneath it, but like I said last night, I mean, I could cut the new series. I'm sorry. I could cut the old series into teaser trailers like these new ones, and you would get the same effect. So I wouldn't worry too much until you see the whole thing. Leonard says, I would be more than fine with Inland Peaks. Well, I'm sure it'll be better edited than Inland Empire. I think even Jennifer Lynch told me, with Inland Empire, she's like, I really missed Mary Sweeney's editing. Well, I really missed Dwayne Dunham's editing. Song says, we're only getting 2 hours of the new Twin Peaks on 5/21. No, we're getting 4 episodes or 4 hours on May 21st. The first 2 hours will air on Showtime, and the second 2 hours will be on the Showtime streaming app, which will then, those 2 episodes will then be played the next weekend. But if you want, you'll be able to watch all 4 of them on the first night. So that's where that's coming from. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this new show. I'm already starting to see YouTube channels that don't normally talk about Twin Peaks starting to talk about Twin Peaks. I was contacted the other day saying, hey, Cameron, I thought there was going to be, you kept thinking that there was going to be this huge media blitz with Twin Peaks with Collider and Screen Junkies and all them. I'm not seeing that. So do you think it's not happening? I think it's happening. I think that they're kind of hesitantly waiting to see they'll probably hit a day or two before the show starts, and then once the audience turns out, I know that first night I'm thinking it will probably be a really huge turnout. So then Monday and Tuesday you'll start seeing most of these YouTube channels trying to fill in a Twin Peaks void, and it's going to be very hilarious. I won't be able to watch most of them because, like I said, Twin Peaks is very personal to me, and I don't want to watch a bunch of people who don't know what they're talking about trying to discuss Twin Peaks. So, but yeah, it's probably going to be everywhere, at least for about a week. If people start dropping off, which people will, I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, by the time the show is over, it's probably going to be just the hardcore fans that are left watching it. 18 weeks is a long time on cable or any TV show. So it's going to have huge numbers at the beginning, and then by the time we end, it'll be, probably an eighth or so of what the original audience is. But at least us hardcore fans will be there. And no matter what, like I keep telling people, no matter what, this new season is going to have amazing stuff in it. Even if this thing is completely terrible, all right? There's going to be just amazing things in it, and you're not going to want to watch a single episode. It's just, I think it's just going to be incredible. No matter what, it's going to be an event. Okay, Angela Badalamenti was to Twin Peaks as Michael Nyman was to Peter Greenaway's. Yes, I agree. Do you think they would license Twin Peaks out now? I didn't catch the very last part of that. It just kind of popped up real quick. So I'm assuming you're thinking about, do you think they'll license it out like Star Wars or something like that, like an IP where you can, novelists can write books and things like that. Honestly, I mean, I think I talked with Eric about this on one of these Thought of the Day videos maybe a week or two ago about it. I'm actually all for it. I'm really all for it. I would love Lynch and Frost to kind of oversee it. And I would love to have people be able to go to them and say, I'm having this idea for a novel, a potential short film, something that's not going to interfere with, your storytelling, but maybe can just be kind of an offshoot story about a particular character or a new character in this world, and having them vote yay or nay. Oh, Todd Matthews says Lynch would never go for that. Oh, I agree. Oh, I'm telling you, he would never go for that. Song 8 says, I'm very surprised we haven't seen Robert Forster in any of the teaser trailers. We haven't seen Laura Dern. We haven't seen Sherilyn Fenn. We haven't seen Cheryl Lee. We haven't seen Ashley Judd. We've seen like a lot of like quote unquote no name actors, but we haven't seen any of the big people yet. We've seen Everett McGill, right? But we haven't seen Laura Dern. But she's in so many of the promotional posters, but we haven't seen any footage of her because I don't think they want to give away who some of these people are playing. Yes, but I agree, Todd, that Lynch will never go for that. That's why when the graphic novel was proposed, Lynch shot it down. It's really funny because back in 2006, I'll tell you a funny little story. I actually called Lynch Frost Productions because I wanted to make a short film about Cooper and Earl during the whole Caroline thing. And it would have nothing to do with Twin Peaks. It was just going to be about, the two men in the FBI playing chess every day and, the love affair between Cooper and Caroline. I kind of thought it would be kind of fun to do it sort of like as a, in the style of those early 90s Orion thrillers, kind of like The Silence of the Lambs or something like that. That would just, have nothing to do with Twin Peaks, but would exist in that world. So I guess a prequel, but not really a prequel. It would have been a standalone story. Let's see. Songy said, predict Bob will be in Laura Dern's character. How shocking and scary would it be? If Laura Dern's Bob, yeah, that would be quite scary and shocking. Anyway, so I proposed this idea, and then I was told, like, well, we're kind of working on a graphic novel at the moment, so maybe now's not the best time to do that. So I was like, okay, that's fine, great. I was honored that they even, like, talked to me about it. And then the graphic novel didn't happen, although we've seen, like, kind of frames of it that have leaked online. This has been in discussion for a long time of Frost wanting to do stuff with Lynch and Lynch not wanting to have anything to do with that. That last trailer felt like Lynch in the world of Fargo, different but instantly Lynchian. Yeah, I'm assuming you're referring to the It Is Happening Again teaser, which I loved. I also loved the Twin Peaks Wonderful and Strange teaser that was just all text saying, before there was Breaking Bad, before there was Lost, before there was, this and that, there was Twin Peaks. I thought that was just a great kind of thing. Something else to keep in mind is just a few weeks after Twin Peaks premieres, Game of Thrones Season 7 comes out. So, both of those are going to be in competition for, who's going to get the articles written about it. We all know Game of Thrones gets tons and tons of press, but it'll be interesting to see if Twin Peaks can kind of usurp it this summer, or whether Game of Thrones just completely just stampedes over Twin Peaks. I don't know. Guess we'll find out. But I'm really interested to see, like, what happens to Twin Peaks fandom after this is over. Do the Twin Peaks fans just kind of go, great, we have closure, and move on with their lives? Or, does this new season, if it's really bad, does it kill your love for the show? Is that possible? I mean, if this show is just completely rancid, would that make you not like the first two seasons or however many episodes you like? I don't know. It's going to be an interesting thing to see if Lynch and Frost completely hit it out of the park, which I believe they're going to. It looks like they're going to. Let's see. Leonard Starr, the episode's going to come out once a week after the first weekend. I believe... Okay, and as Sonya says, no, it can't taint the original. I don't believe they're doing... I think you're getting 2 episodes the first weekend and 2 episodes the second weekend, because they're dropping all 4 that first day online. And then I think after that, it's going to be 1 episode a weekend, I believe. That's what I'm hearing, at least. But yeah, so I'm really curious. I'm so nervous, and I got those little butterflies, and I'm just super excited to see what happens. I cannot wait. It's going to be either wonderful or disastrous or somewhere in between, and I don't know. I just hope that you know, it's I hope that we are given something seriously both wonderful and strange, to borrow a cliche there. Um, so anyway, but I wanted to share something with you because a lot of you guys may not know this. We talked about this, I don't know, maybe about a year ago on the Thought of the Day videos, but I have an original copy here of the Lynch on Lynch book, and there's a portion of this I just wanted to share with you. Some of you guys probably already know about this, but for those of you who don't, you might be interested in this. So this book is basically interviews with Lynch, talking about every one of his films, and he even goes into his comic book strip about the angriest dog in the world. That's funny. But one of the questions is about Fire Walk with Me. Excuse me. And it says, the interviewer says, or asks, I should say, hang on. Matt LeBlanc says, I wonder if episode 1 will have lots of exposition explaining previous seasons for newcomers, or if they would just expect people to know seasons 1 and 2 and Fire Walk with Me. I'm going to guess the latter because they've aired the original series again and Fire Walk with Me. So I'm thinking that they're not going to spend a lot of time doing that because, I mean, why else would Showtime, re-air the entire original series right before it? Song 8 says, Lynch isn't really the explaining type. That's true, but sometimes he is. JB says, there's no way all the questions will be wrapped up. In fact, there will be many all-new questions left unanswered. And Dom was talking about the Final Dossier book being released. Yeah, I mean, I think it's called the Final Dossier for a reason, and I think it's the book that we were promised the first time. I think when the book was announced that it was going to detail the characters and what's been going on in their lives in the 25 years in between, and then we got the secret history of Twin Peaks, which was not at all what they told us the book was going to be about. I think that this second book is going to be what the first book was originally told to us to have been. Will there be unanswered questions in this new series? Of course there's going to be. It's David Lynch. It's the way it is. But I think that the big stuff, if they're going to just wrap this up and say this is it, then, it's like a lot of Lynch stuff. I mean, Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart, all his best work, they all have unanswered things. We don't know in Wild at Heart what Mr. Reindeer was really doing. But there is a sense of finality. There's a sense of closure. There's open-ended questions, but nothing that's going to make you feel like they cheated us. Song says, I don't like the idea of this new series being wrapped up in a Frost book. Wrap it up on screen, damn it. I don't believe it's going to be wrapped up in Frost book. I think the reason why the book is coming out after the show is because I think it's going to give away some secrets of what was going on with the characters in between season 2 and season 3, and Lynch didn't want that probably exposed to the public before it airs. It's kind of like how we got the show, the original show, and then we got the My Life, My Tapes, Diary of Agent Cooper. It goes back and let you kind of fill in some gaps here. But anyway, hold the questions off for 1 second. Let me just read this part to you. So this interviewer is talking to Lynch about Fire Walk with Me, and this is after the fact. This is like 4 or 5 years after Fire Walk with Me played. And I'm reading this to you because there's a very good possibility that this is going to play a role in the new season. So the interviewer asks, Fire Walk with Me plays a lot with notions of time. For instance, Dale Cooper is mentioned in a scene, but he hasn't come to town yet. The interviewer is referring to the Annie Blackburn scene, where she shows up in Laura's bed and tells her to write it in the diary. This is Lynch's answer. Exactly. Although I really don't like talking about things, I've got to say this one thing about that scene, where Annie suddenly appears in Laura's bed. This is before Laura has been murdered. and before Cooper has come to Twin Peaks. Annie appears filled with blood and wearing the exact same dress that she was wearing when she was in the Red Room with Cooper in the series in the future. She says to Laura, "The good Dale is in the lodge. Write it in your diary." And I know that Laura wrote that down in a little side space in her diary, which of course was ripped apart by Harold Smith. Now, Lynch continues, if Twin Peaks the series had continued, somebody would have found this. It's like somebody in 1920 saying Lee Harvey Oswald, and then later you see it play itself out. I had hopes of something coming out of this, and I like the idea of taking the Twin Peaks story back and forth in time. I think there's our answer. Hal Brandt says time runs forward and backwards, shown by the coffee cup sequence with Coop. I'm telling you, I think that is a genuine tip as to where we're going. I was talking with James a few days ago about this, and it's interesting because, you know, Twin Peaks deals with realism and surrealism, and sometimes you want to think sometimes logically about some of this, and sometimes you can't, right? You know, it's David Lynch and Mark Frost. But still, you want to think logically. So I've always interpreted the ending of the show to be this. Leonard says, the lodges exist in the fifth dimension, independent of time and space. Matt LeBlanc says, say what you will about Frost's book, but no one would have really guessed time travel for the new season. Okay, so I always thought, and I'll probably talk about this a little bit more in the commentary for this episode when I get around to it, that the ending of the show was Cooper is in the waiting room, Black Lodge, whatever. He goes in to get Annie and take on Wyndham Earle. At the end of the show, now I'm not taking Fire Walk with Me into consideration yet. At the end of the show, it seems like Cooper got Annie out, and Cooper's doppelganger grabbed Coop right when he was like heading towards the curtains, and that Cooper had been overtaken by Bob. But he still got Annie out. And of course, you know, it ends with the infamous line, "How's Annie? How's Annie?" Now, Fire Walk with Me comes out, and right then Lynch kind of flips it. He tells us that Cooper is not possessed by Bob. He tells us that only that doppelganger got out. So it's not a Leland situation where Leland is possessed by Bob. Leland being fully personified is possessed by Bob. We're talking Cooper, you know, was split in the Black Lodge. He confronted his shadow self, and the shadow self got out, and Cooper is stuck in the lodge. All right, so we're told that. But then we're shown in the missing pieces that Annie is wearing Caroline's dress. So, I mean, Lynch is right in saying that she's wearing the same dress that she's wearing in the Red Room, but the Annie that we see in the missing pieces, right, in the hospital is wearing Caroline's dress. And again, it's this idea of like everything being flipped in Fire Walk with Me, right? Deer Meadow is like the anti-Twin Peaks. The fact that Laura's homecoming picture is flipped, whereas like, you know, in the series there was one picture behind the glass and one picture at the Palmer house, and then in the movie they're flipped. Things like that just continues. Yes, I understand, it's very confusing. However, so I was always under the impression that he got Annie out and then Cooper got overtaken by Bob. But then we find out, of course, right, that Cooper got split. The good Cooper's in the Black Lodge. All right. But James was saying to me, and I didn't even think about this, right? But it makes sense after you see the missing pieces, that he doesn't even think he got Annie out. James is thinking, and I can see this, because if you look at the way Heather Graham is acting in that hospital scene where they're talking to the nurse, James thinks Annie is still stuck in the lodge too. And that what got out was Annie's doppelganger. So is it possible that Cooper and Annie's doppelgangers are the ones that got out? And that the good Cooper and the good Annie and the good Laura are still in the lodge? Well, that changes everything if that's true. So maybe he didn't get Annie out. Maybe just the strange, weird Annie, damn, I saw the face of the man who killed me. So this is so bizarre. And the fact that this new season will be giving us definitive answers, at least, as to which way we're heading. Because right now, you can talk this till you're blue in the face, and, you kind of come up with your own interpretation of it. But this new season, for it to move forward, is going to have to answer some of those questions so we know which direction we're going. And if we're continuing to go back and forth in time, and maybe, I doubt it, but maybe it'll draw itself a little bit from Mark Frost's book, and maybe we'll get some flashbacks to things. I agree. Lynch loves people coming up with their own interpretations, but you can't continue an 18-hour, next saga without answering a few of those questions as to who's in the lodge and who got out. You're going to have to answer that at least. But maybe, who knows? I know Mark Frost's book, A Secret History of Twin Peaks, is its own thing, but maybe there's going to be some flashbacks. There's so many actors. Maybe there'll be some flashbacks to another time. Maybe there'll be something from the 40s. Maybe we'll see Leland Palmer, what happened to him at Pearl Lakes. Who knows? There's a lot of room to fill in 18 hours. I don't think it's just going to be, elderly guys walking across a bank for a whole episode. So, or Senior Drool Cup coming in saying, I heard about you, over and over and over again. Hal Brandt says he would love to see Leland as a boy at Pearl Lakes. I agree. I think that's an interesting... I don't need to see a full episode about it, but it would be an interesting gap to show, right? So it's amazing, the fact that we're finally gonna know how Twin Peaks is gonna move forward. Because when James and I started doing these videos years ago, I was always under the impression, because of the remake reboot craze that was happening even back then, that Twin Peaks was going to come back at some stage. There had been rumors that Twin Peaks was coming back. A song that says, how can they possibly show Bob without Frank Silva? It's very simple. Ray Wise. Get Ray Wise to play Bob. There's your answer. Or, as someone said earlier, Laura Dern. But, no. Some people think Laura Dern's going to play Annie. I don't know about that, but I still maintain that she's Diane. I've always thought, even back in 1990, that Diane would be Laura Dern. I just had this sense about that it's just the perfect person. But because Kyle and Laura had dated and they broke up, and back then film actors never went to TV unless their career was completely over. I knew Laura Dern was never going to play Diane in the series, but I thought maybe she would be in the movie. But we all know that didn't happen either. And thank God they cut out that scene between Kyle talking to Diane off camera. That was one of the, I think honestly that is the worst acting Kyle MacLachlan has done playing Agent Cooper. I hope to God that was just an outtake and not an actual scene that they contemplated putting in the movie, because that is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And it doesn't play at all like that in the screenplay. So, I don't know. It gives me shivers just thinking about it. but yeah, feel free to throw out some questions, guys, if you have any. I'm kind of running out of talking points here. But yeah, I just super super excited. What else? I don't know what else to say about it. Uh, but let's see if I have anything else here. I was looking at some old books I had about that came out at the time. This book I got, Welcome to Twin Peaks, is kind of a fun one. Um, oh, hang on. Adamo says the lodge doesn't function in linear logic as we know it and understand. The dynamics are unique to that world. That's what's so fascinating. No, I agree. I just hope this new season doesn't begin with a planet of cream corn exploding and having, the little man and Bob and the one-armed man, flying to Earth in a little spaceship or something. If time travel is a real thing, then it could be that Bob is a young dude in season 3. Yeah, well, Lynch was already playing with time travel in Fire Walk with Me, right? You look at the missing pieces with the Philip Jeffries and all that. So I mean, it's already been kind of there. But anyway, I'm looking at this book, which is kind of fun. I remember being fascinated by this book because it talked about the man who dreamed up Twin Peaks, and they start. Oh, by the way, God, look at that awesome poster. And it's not very clear. I'm sorry, of James and Ronette. It's kind of fun. But talking about the man who loves or dreamed up Twin Peaks. And kind of goes into the grandmother and the alphabet, and these were films that I remember at the time going, there's no way you could see these movies. Song says, I hate time travel as a plot device, even in science fiction, which is my favorite genre. All right, so here's my theory before I get to something here. I think, and you guys have probably heard this before, and I'm probably totally wrong, okay? But the way Lynch feels about Laura Palmer, and the way he feels about Cheryl Lee in terms of he killed off Cheryl Lee as Laura Palmer, then brought her back as Madeline Ferguson, then killed Madeline Ferguson, and then brought Cheryl Lee back as Laura Madeline in the Red Room. And then she comes back in Fire Walk with Me, and then he kills her again. Leonard says, I got that book somewhere in my mom's house. Well, good. You can fish it out when you get back there. But my theory, let's see. Boston says, who are the original cast not listed to return would you bet is most likely to appear in the new show? I got a big one. Chris Mulkey. I think Hank Jennings is coming back. Matthew Thomas says, maybe I'm confused, but isn't Kyle playing both Bob and Coop? Leland is free of Bob. Well, he's playing the doppelganger of Coop and then also Cooper. But but the manifestation of Bob, if Cooper looks in the mirror, we probably won't see Frank Silva. We'll probably see Ray Wise. I think that's probably the way they'll do it. If Ray Wise is even doing that part, who knows what he's doing? I think it's safe to say he's playing Leland Palmer. But anyway, so my theory is. And this doesn't have anything to do with the leaked footage that came out. Hang on. James Goodrich says, Shelley could have been pregnant throughout the series and not even known it. She could have a 25-year-old kid who may not be Bobby's. Well, that's a theory that's going out there. Adamo says, I wouldn't refer to it as time travel, but time shift. Yeah, I mean, anything's possible here. But anyway, I'm not, and this has nothing to do with the leaked footage or anything like that. But I have my theory, again, I'm totally wrong here, I'm sure, because this is just way too logical. But the show began with Laura dying and Cooper coming into town. Song says, I don't want to see Hank Jennings again. I fast forward through almost all his scenes. I want Truman. I'll bet you Truman shows up. Matthew Thomas says, what about Donna's siblings? We know one of them's going to be in there, Alicia Witt. She's worked with Lynch several times. Dune, she's that little girl. She's Paul Atreides' little sister. He is the Kwisatz Haderach. She also was in Hotel Room with Crispin Glover that David Lynch directed. Anyway, so Laura dies. Cooper comes into town. I'm thinking that, again, I'm totally wrong here, and I'm just kind of throwing this out there. I think that the show is going to end. Because if you can pull Cooper out of the Black Lodge, or waiting room, or whatever you want to call it, then you can pull Laura out too. And I'm thinking, because Sarah Palmer's still alive, is it possible Laura Palmer gets out of the Black Lodge and is returned home to her mom, so that when her mom calls to her to come downstairs for breakfast, even if Laura's a little bit older, now Laura can come down the stairs instead of those empty stairs that her mother climbed all those many years ago. Is it possible that Laura Palmer comes down the stairs, joins her mom for breakfast as Coop leaves town? Could this be the redemption of Agent Cooper, but also the resurrection of Laura Palmer? I mean, Lynch is not letting this Laura Palmer mystery go. I mean, if you watch that Between Two Worlds thing, Laura Palmer. Song says, "Do you expect a happy ending?" It very well could be. I mean, we're talking about a man who wrote on his own Jeffrey and Sandy having a happy ending at the end of Blue Velvet. He changed the ending of Barry Gifford's Wild at Heart novel so that Sailor and Lula were together with, Little Pace. If there is a happy ending at the end of this Twin Peaks, honestly, I think it's the best ending possible. Not everything has to be bleak and disturbing, and I don't want this to end with Agent Cooper being chased by two small elderly people and he blows his head off on a pillow. I'd like to see something happy, but I'm not necessarily betting on it. But I just have this feeling like Laura Palmer is going to live again at least by the end of this show. That's just my theory, but I'm probably totally wrong. Leonard says, could be a bittersweet ending like Fire Walk With Me or The Elephant Man. True. Very true. Song said, I agree, but I expected a happy ending 25 years ago. Well, again, that's revisionist history, because Lynch is now saying, it was supposed to be a trilogy of films. It wasn't supposed to end with Fire Walk With Me. I'm so sorry. I missed that comment. Something about Laura in a trunk. If you can send that again, awesome. Gerald says, do you think the town of Twin Peaks will end up like Deer Meadow with all the gloom? I don't know about Deer Meadow, because that place looked like just a wasteland of an area. But Peggy Lipton did say some people will be a little surprised and shocked how little things have changed in the town in 25 years. So, is it possible when when Cooper went into the Black Lodge, that he didn't, and the doppelganger came out? Is it possible that did sort of a shift, and people weren't allowed to kind of move on with their lives very much when that happened? So, 25 years later, the planets will be back in alignment for the Black Lodge to open. This is their chance to get Cooper out. I'm hoping, there's 3 people that I've always maintained, actually 4, but 2 of them have passed on, unfortunately, 2 of the actors. There's 4 people that could get Cooper out of the lodge, and that's Major Briggs, who unfortunately passed on, Log Lady, who has unfortunately passed on, Hawk, and Ronette. Those are the 4 that can help get Cooper out of the lodge. Matthew says, what if the passing of Log Lady is written to the show and the log gets passed on? Who is the log now? Laura says, could the girl in the new trailer be Shelley's daughter that says, try me? Anything's possible. Anything's possible. But yeah, it's I totally just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, it's anyway. Those 4. Song says, I still want to know what happened to Josie. Do you think there's a chance we might see Joan Chen? I don't think so, but I mean, even past the doorknob thing in the show, there's a mild reference to her later in the season. There's a moment where Ben Horn is on his knees, in his office, and you hear this like tingling sound, and he throws his head around, and then the scene cuts. Well, from what I understand, he was supposed to have seen Josie in the walls or something like that. So apparently Josie is inhabiting the Great Northern. It almost says, "I think the log will haunt the shit out of all of us." Leonard says, "Try me." Sounds like a reaction to something like, "You'll never believe this." Yeah, I'm a little nervous for the character saying "try me." That's not something you want to say in that environment. The lighting looks really seedy. As for the log lady, here's another theory. I know I've said this a million times, but some of you guys probably watching are new. She, Catherine Coulson, who I interviewed on this channel. If you haven't heard that interview, you should totally check it out. It was right when they announced that the new season was being shot, so obviously she knew she was sick, but she didn't let on about that. But her answers are really interesting, and she was a wonderful, wonderful lady. She was super nice. My theory is this: because she knew she was sick, because we didn't hear about her shooting scenes with other actors, and she very well could have, but we didn't hear anything like that. Dirty Boy Santa God, I'll have to send your question in a couple minutes. All right, let me just finish this thought here. Oh my goodness, what on earth was I talking about again? The log lady. If we didn't hear about her shooting scenes, and she very well could have. This is my theory. I don't think they're gonna want the log lady to just be in one episode and be sitting in the diner spitting her pitch or something across the table again. I mean, that could be in there as well, but my theory is that Lynch on an isolated set shot just a ton of log lady introductions, so that even though Catherine Coulson might not be in the series, she will still oversee the entire series, and it will match up to what they've released on the gold box sets and the Blu-ray sets. And yes, it's true, the log lady introductions were added for the Bravo release, which happened in the mid-90s, but the log lady introductions on the Blu-ray set were remastered in HD. So obviously David Lynch really, really cares about them and doesn't just think they're just some throwaway thing that he put on the Bravo release to get some people to tune in. So if those are remastered in HD, then he's going to want to match it with the new show. So I'm thinking that this is just my theory. I could be totally wrong. I just think that if I was him, I would have shot 25 log lady introductions and used the ones that worked. So that's how I think that you can keep the log lady in the entire show, but not really in the show. She might be like scattered throughout here and there, but that's how you film her and not involve other actors. And I think it would just match up and work. This is really interesting though. This book that I was talking about earlier talks about Cooper's dream, and this is where the confusion happened, because the one-armed man, he says that poem, right? In the darkness of future past, the magician longs to see one chance out between two worlds, fire walk with me. But this, in the book, it says, this is really interesting. I don't know if this will come up. It says, in the darkness, let's see, where does it say? Yeah. In the darkness of future past, the magician longs to see one chance, not chants, but chance, chance, chance heart. One chance heart between two worlds, fire walk with me. Well, that's very different than what people are saying now, but this is how it was told to us back in 1990. I never realized it was one chance heart. I always thought it was one chance out, even with like you have one chance to get the hell out of that Black Lodge, basically. And of course, everybody says to now it's one chance out, like chant is like chanting out. But this is interesting. I mean, it's just like there's just been Twin Peaks stuff, interpretations all over the place. JB says, Frost implied on Twitter that something could be coming before the premiere. Oh, I agree. Thank you for bringing that up. I totally was spacing on that. So somebody tweeted out to Mark Frost that he can't wait for this new series. So he wants to sleep for the next 8 days until the new series comes out. Frost then responded to him saying, hang on, James Gunder says, the Fat Trout Trailer Park could be in Twin Peaks. A lot of these new characters could live there. And yes, that I believe has been confirmed. The Fat Trout Trailer Park has been moved from the Deer Meadow area to the Twin Peaks area. Yes, exactly. Leonard says could be Chance out. That's what I thought it was too. Not Chance Hart, but that's what that book says. Anyway, so this guy says, he wants to sleep for 8 days. And then Frost responded back saying, but if you sleep for 8 days, you're going to miss what we're going to drop this week. What does that mean? More teasers? More things like this underwhelming Twin Peaks The Phenomenon thing that they released for newbies? I don't know. They're going to drop a prequel comic book? I have no idea what they're going to do. But the thing that drives me nuts is I'm at work when they drop this stuff, and the internet's terrible, so I can't watch it on my phone, and I don't want to use their computers because their speakers don't really work very well. So I got to wait till I get home, around 6 or so, to watch anything, and by that time, I've gotten a million messages telling me how awesome these things are, and so I got this hype train all around me, and then I watch it, and I like it, but, people make me feel like I'm going to see, Agent Cooper, blowing up the Black Lodge or something, and, and then when I see it, it's a blonde lady saying, try me. So, it's kind of funny how the hype train kind of works, but let's see if there's anything else here. All right, guys, throw out some questions while I'm flipping around this book. Let's see. I'm looking at this book from this came out at the same time, and it has seen better days. Look at this little rip here. Oh, but at least I had the knowledge to tape it up back then. This goes all the way up until Laura's murder is solved. Oh, look at this wonderful shot of Miguel Ferrer. Good stuff. Let's see if there's anything in here that's interesting. If you guys have any questions, please throw them out. Let's see. They kind of go into, who the people are working on the show, and here's Esquire. They even have what was it? Yeah, The Simpsons down here. God, it's unbelievable. The Simpsons have been on TV since before Twin Peaks. They came out of the Tracy Ullman show that was on Fox. Okay, Tom Matthews says, have you seen the new Blade Runner trailer? Yes, I have, but this is the Twin Peaks thought of the day, not Dallas Villeneuve website, discussion. Adamo, I missed your comment. You got to throw it back out there. I can't see it because it's come across the phone. And let's see what it says here. Lemmer says, I'm not so interested in how the average viewer feels about the new Twin Peaks. It'll be over their heads, and that's fine. Okay, so, yeah, let me throw that out there. So, a while ago, I did a Thought of the Day video with the editor-in-chief of the website Birth Movies Death, and I asked him that question. I'm like, what do you think about the new viewers and stuff like that? Listen, I'm a Twin Peaks fan. As long as it works for me, I'm happy. But at the same time, though, because I do sort of this, Twin Peaks video podcast series, I do have to take in consideration new and old fans. I'm already seeing new viewers being like, what the actual fuck is this? Oh, believe me, wait till it starts. That'll be the best. You're going to want to stay off Twitter for that. Sonia says, how am I going to have to pay to watch this series? $9.99 a month for 4 months, about $40. Is that right? You are correct. If you get Showtime Anytime app, it is $9.99 a month. It's $40 for the 4 months. That's what I'm doing. I already know I'm going to be plucking down about $100 for this series. You got $40 for the Showtime thing. Then I'm probably going to pay another $30 to $35 for, you know, the Vudu streaming ability. Because when I cancel the Showtime, I'm going to want to still have it, right? So some people are going to be able to buy it on iTunes. I'm going to probably get it on Vudu. And then obviously when the Blu-ray set comes out, I'm going to get that. I'm going to be super PO'd though if Showtime only releases it on DVD and not on Blu-ray. Dirty Boy Synagogue says, now TV has 2 months for the price of one at the moment. Cool. Do it. But yeah, so, you know, some of these cable companies are only releasing shows on DVD now. Boston says, Bowie or no Bowie the new season? I believe no Bowie, but you never know. You never know, because he knew he was sick too, and he was recording music videos, you know, to be dropped at the time of his death. So you never know. With the digital medium, Lynch could have gotten a shot or two with him. We won't know. Anyway, so but it'll be $40 for Showtime, another $30 or so for the streaming, and then, you know, another $30 or so for the Blu-ray when it comes out, if hopefully it comes out. Mark Frost says he's going to try and get some episodes on the air in the Blu-ray release. As a separate release or part of the David Bowie was sick at the time. But we don't know. I mean, who knows? He could have shot something. We won't know. But I think they would have said something about David Bowie being in the cast if he had. They would have wanted that publicity. No, but are you saying that On the Air, the TV show, is going to be part of the season 3 Blu-ray set, or are you saying that On the Air is going to get a Blu-ray set? I have On the Air on Laserdisc, the Japanese Laserdisc. That's, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's like 7, 8 episodes of On the Air, but only 3 play in the United States before ABC just canceled it. That was the dark time of being a Lynch fan. Hotel Room aired its premiere, got canceled. On the Air played for 3 episodes, got canceled. Fire Walk With Me came out, completely tanked. And then we didn't hear anything from Lynch for 4 long years until Lost Highway came out. So, actually, no, 5 years. Yeah, 97 is when it came out. I keep thinking 96, but it was 97. So, yeah. And I keep getting asked, you know, whether Lynch is going to retire after this thing. I don't know. I'll ask him the next time I see him. Jared Hall says, on a YouTube video I saw with him on his book tour, he said he's going to try and get some on-the-air episodes on the Season 3 Blu-ray. Weird. Because On the Air has nothing to do with Twin Peaks, except for some cast members. I mean, some people think that On the Air is in the same spirit as the latter Season 2 episodes, but On the Air is much even more cartoony than Season 2 ever got, even with a pine weasel biting Dick Tremaine in the nose. So, yeah. But that would be interesting. Sonia says, all my friends that used to watch Twin Peaks 25 years ago are totally gone from my life. I'm depressed. No, you know what? I'm right there with you, man. I had some amazing friends growing up that really, really loved David Lynch and Twin Peaks. And, man, we were a tight group. But, yeah, life goes on and people move away and people get married or just move on with their lives. And, you know, I mean, most of the people I talk to are at work or online, you know, because a lot of my friends don't live near me anymore. And the ones I grew up with, I don't know, they just, it's weird, you know, girls, like, a lot of times they're like friends for life a lot of times, and guys just kind of break apart and, you know, go, oh, yeah, I remember being really great friends with that person, but it's like, now you never see them anymore. But one of them, I actually sent the Blu-ray too. I hadn't talked to him in a while, but I heard that he was having a hard time, and so I sent him the entire mystery on Blu-ray to him as a birthday present. Drake says, anybody notice the look of the new Twin Peaks kind of similar to season 1 of True Detective? Dirty Boy Synagogue says, I've seen that there's some Johnny Jewel music in the new season. I wonder how much Badalamenti stuff will be. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking the soundtrack of this is going to be a lot like Wild at Heart. Adama says, okay, will Cameron be hosting a Twin Peaks Season 3 viewing party's place, and all 350 of us will be going? It'll be a blast. Sure, but there's no talking aloud. I can't stand these like videos of seeing like Twin Peaks viewing parties and people screaming. They showed this in this Twin Peaks Phenomenon thing, that teaser they dropped this morning. People screaming and hollering. I would be strangling everybody if they were doing that. Leonard said, I knew a woman who met Lynch and said she was cute as a button. Tony Willock says, Cameron, to me it looks like Cooper is walking through Owl Cave in new teaser. What do you think? I don't know about the Owl Cave, but somebody did lighten up that scene. You can't see it in the teaser, but someone did grab that image and brighten it up, and he is walking with the one-armed man. So Drake says they showed the same crowd throughout the video. It was quite forced. Oh yeah. Bill Cole says they have viewing parties at the actual Roadhouse North Bend for those that are interested. Yes, Eric, who is on some of these videos, he is right now at Snoqualmie watching Firewalk with me inside the Sawmill, which is great. People already ruining secrets to Photoshop the damn show. I don't know if that's really spoiling anything, really. I mean, we expect Bob to be hanging out with the one-armed man at some point. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I think this new series is going to be like the Wild at Heart soundtrack. And I'm not talking about, Baby Please Don't Go and Im Aberrant and Slaughterhouse and all that stuff playing. I'm talking about just the variety of music, because this is, again, we don't know. But what I'm hearing is that this is not going to take place just in Twin Peaks, but in several areas in the country, if not the world. And you're going to want music to portray where they are. And Badalamenti is an amazing musician and composer. He's wonderful. But Lynch is going to maybe want a little bit more different flavors in there to kind of, spread it out. So if you remember Wild at Heart, we got Angelo Badalamenti music throughout, but we also got, tons of other bands and music. Dirty Boy Synagogue says, good point, great. I didn't see that last comment. Please repost it. I think it was Drake. These things like appear and then they disappear real fast. So unless I get to it, I can't read it in time. But anyway, so that's just my theory on it. But if you guys have not seen the trailer breakdown that Eric and I did yesterday, you should really check it out. I was trying out this new computer program that allowed not just to have us talking about the trailer. Oh, Drake says, I asked about the Variety magazine cover with Lynch. I want to get it and can't find it in Canada. Yeah, I can't. I haven't been able to find it out here either, but I grabbed those images. That image of Kyle, Laura, and David Lynch in the car. Oh my God. I posted it on Facebook saying this takes me back to being 14 years old again, because it's like Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart, and Twin Peaks all in one picture, and it's gorgeous, it's heavenly, it's amazing. But yeah, and of course I can't remember what I was talking about again. That's the problem, being in the spotlight with all these questions and oh, is your wife in a Twin Peaks? If not, is she at all interested in watching the new season? She likes the show. Hang on, Adama, will the new Twin Peaks include Lynch's new obsession with motorcycles from the UK? Oh, probably. I guarantee you James Hurley has a better bike. Maybe not a better one, but he's got probably a newer bike. My wife, she really likes the show. She didn't watch it when it came out. I had to show it to her. But, she remembers when it was on, but her family wasn't one of these families that watches TV. Bill Cole says, any thoughts about the new Twin Peaks being digital, not on film, similar to Inland Empire? I know some people have had a problem with it. What I've seen, I don't really have a problem with it. Let me finish this point about my wife, and then I'll get back to what I was saying about Eric. But she is interested in the new season. She watched The Missing Pieces. She was intrigued by it, but she's somebody who forgets a lot of things. So like, you could show her a season of TV, and then 6 months later, you could be like, "Hey, remember that scene in this movie, this TV show?" She'd be like, "No." So she probably, even though she's not a new viewer to Twin Peaks, it will be like watching it with a new viewer, because she won't remember the previous. She'll remember key things, but she won't remember, who was sleeping with who or that type of thing. But anyway, Eric and I did this trailer breakdown yesterday for the "It Is Happening Again" teaser, and I think it went out pretty well. Did this whole thing where it's not just us talking. Actually, was able to put the teaser into the video itself and have it. I mean, you guys watch YouTube channels, so you know what this is like. But for me, it's a new thing. I was able to do the mouse, so like whatever we're talking about, I'm able to scroll and get right to that point. It was awesome. Tony Wheelock says, Cameron, I read that the old lady in the teaser has not listened. I can't read it. Went too fast. Sorry. Repost it, please. But yeah, it was super fun. So then I could not just have the teaser played and us, talking really fast to get through it because it's only 58 seconds long. I was able to, pause it and rewind it and all that stuff. Drake says, I think it's appropriate to bring Twin Peaks to 2017 with the technology available. It's best that it looks and feels different from the 90s era. I hope the show is... Yeah, well, one of the things I point out is, actually Eric pointed out, is the Lucy shot in the It's Happening Again trailer. If you look in the background, they have a modern printer, but she still has the same microphone from that she was using in the series Once Upon a Time. So, not the series Once Upon a Time, Twin Peaks 25 years ago, okay? I don't want people confused. Thinking, what the hell, Lucy Moran's in Once Upon a Time? No, she's not. But I was always concerned that Twin Peaks was going to get rebooted, and Drake says Gordon Cole seems to have the same hearing aid device. Yes, he does. Also, pay attention to that shot with him and Albert. Oh. Old lady and teaser not listed in cast list. Proves more cast than 217. Yes, there is more cast than 217 people. I guarantee you. I don't know that for sure, but I know that for sure. There's more people in this show than just who was listed there. Laura says, do you think we're going to see a new type of evil presence we've never seen on the show? Oh, maybe. JB says the vlog lady thinks that witch lady in the trailer is Lil from Fire Island. Wouldn't that be something? Woo! Yeah, that'd be pretty scary stuff. Her name is Lil. She's my mother's sister's girl. Doing her little dance with that squinched up face. It's Sonny, Lil was a man in drag, right? I don't think so. Bill Cole says, in one sentence, for you personally, why are you so interested in Twin Peaks? I know there are a lot of reasons. Just wondering if you can boil it down. All right. This is going to sound silly, I know. But I saw Twin Peaks at an age that, when you hear all these people talking about how they fell in love with Star Wars when they were a kid. Well, I was a little bit older than when people usually watch Star Wars, but when I saw Twin Peaks, it was at such a critical point in my life because I saw Blue Velvet before. I had seen Dune and Elephant Man and stuff like that, but at that time I didn't know Lynch had directed all of those. But I knew he had directed Blue Velvet. And so seeing Blue Velvet, Twin Peaks, and Wild at Heart all within a year and a half's time at a crucial age, it changed my life. It changed the way I looked at things. It changed the way I perceived art and film and life. So that's why I'm interested in it. Like I've said a million times, these videos kind of started by accident. I did an interview with Jennifer Lynch, and it was wonderful, and it kind of got me back into the Twin Peaks thing. And then I started just doing random videos talking about Twin Peaks, and yeah, and then I was about ready to be like, okay, let's just move on. We're going to talk about other things. And then they announced the Blu-ray set, and then they announced the new season, and here we are. Tim Wells is saying Industrial Symphony #1, and I have no idea why. I have that on Laserdisc. I wish that was released on Blu-ray. Industrial Symphony #1 begins with a scene that I'm convinced was cut out of Wild at Heart. It's got Laura Dern and Sailor Ripley, or Nicolas Cage, I say, wearing the exact same clothes, same accents, everything. I fail to believe that they just shot a scene for the Industrial Symphony as Sailor and Lula. But anyway, Tony Willis says, how ironic would it be if Hawk is following Cooper in the teaser? Would be awesome. Leonard says, Twin Peaks came out at the right time for me too, and I was 16. Tim Wells says, you were talking about the time. Nina says, I was obsessed. Industrial Symphony came out at that time. Listen, I know Lost Highway has its fans. I know Mulholland Drive is adored. I love The Straight Story. I mean, I love all of Lynch's movies. But Blue Velvet, Twin Peaks, Wild at Heart, Fire Walk with Me, that whole period is what I consider just Lynch at his prime. Even though, Straight Story and Mulholland Drive are wonderful, wonderful movies. I love them to pieces. Maybe it also had to do with the age I was at as well. Seeing Wild at Heart on the big screen, Jared Hall says, do you have a theory on the green ring? I don't know. Right? I think it's still open to a lot of interpretation, considering that a lot of those shots of the green ring in Fire Walk with Me were actual inserts that they shot after principal photography. So even Lynch kind of was playing around with the meaning of it at the time. But seeing Wild at Heart on the big screen, I saw it 5 times on the big screen at this theater that no longer is. If you Google this, Google Dream Theater in Monterey. Look at the images. You'll see the inside of the theater. This theater was gorgeous. Wild at Heart is this huge film. It had just beautiful red drapes. Of course, with the red room and everything, but with the fire from the opening credits of Wild at Heart, it was just absolutely gorgeous. And the sound was so immense that every time Power Mad played their song or Sailor and Lula struck a match, the entire theater rumbled like you were on a roller coaster. It was absolutely insane. Tony Willock says, I'm curious about the nurse that took the ring and the missing pieces and where it could be now. I don't know. I mean, is the nurse in this new series? Or are they just going to say that it's been passed down, over the last 25 years? I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, Leonard says the Dream Theater ceiling looks amazing. They did. I ended up, managing there for a few years, and I loved every single second of it. And then, of course, towns do what they normally do. They tear things down and tear down a 100-year-old movie palace and put up apartments. Good job. But yeah, I grew up on the Monterey Peninsula, and I made a joke about it the other day because in episode, I don't know, what is it, 4? Episode 4? When, say, 1, 2, 3, maybe 5, I'm sorry, when Cooper's interrogating Dr. Jacoby, and Jacoby's doing the egg thing, and he's got the dyslexia glasses I think he's wearing. Before he leaves, the sheriff says, "You going to be around town, Dr. Jacoby?" And Jacoby says, "Well, I was planning a pilgrimage to Pebble Beach." And of course, Pebble Beach is part of where I was living, so it was kind of fun. Tim Wells says, I think Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive is more likely an influence on this series. It's possible. Adama says, nothing will feel like entering a different world like Eraserhead. Oh, yeah. I mean, Eraserhead is, that's an amazing film. It's an amazing film. So hard. People don't realize how hard it was back in the late 80s, early 90s to track down something like Eraserhead. I mean, you basically had to go to the warehouse. Do you remember that store? And go to their like rental section and then like purchase it because you couldn't find it anywhere. It was impossible. If I don't know if that last comment was about the nurse, but resend it. Drake says, didn't Lynch state once that Mulholland Drive, Lost Highway, and Twin Peaks are part of the same universe? Well, remember, Mulholland Drive was supposed to be part of Twin Peaks because it was not supposed to be about Diane. It was supposed to be about Audrey Horne going to Hollywood. But it's weird, though. It's like Lynch has this fascination with the two word titles, right? Blue Velvet, Twin Peaks, Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, Straight Story, Inland Empire. Like, they all like just sound like they're just part of the same world. But I will say that, in my humble opinion, Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, and Inland Empire is the trilogy of those three. They're all films about somebody who begins as one person, becomes another, and all hell breaks loose. Tim Wells was talking about the tone. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, there's going to be lightness in it, and Lost Highway didn't really have too much lightness in it. But yeah, Therese Xavier is listed as the nurse, but she isn't listed in the cast on IMDb. Who knows? I mean, Lynch put those missing pieces out. Look, there's so many scenes in Fire Walk with Me that were not included in those missing pieces, and the ones he included either were things that it says Audrey has to be messed up from that explosion, like in a wheelchair or something. You would think, but who knows? I hope I just want her to be just a bitter, middle-aged lady who runs the Great Northern, like much more, even more sinister than her dad, because John Joseph Wheeler never came back for her, and she's stuck in Twin Peaks. What a great role that would be for Sherilyn Fenn. But yeah, tone. Lost Highway is a very dark film. I mean, people say Fire Walk with Me is a dark film. I think Lost Highway is even darker. Mulholland Drive does have lightness in it, but the overall tone of it is a pretty dark film. Inland Empire is just dark, literally, and the way it looks. Drake says, Lynch is a prankster. He once said he didn't know who Louis Buñuel is, and the Blue Velvet documentary talks about, yeah. Boston says, what's the plan regarding making videos once the new season starts? Oh my goodness. Well, my ideas is that obviously there would be an episode discussing, or a podcast discussing each episode, but I'm thinking there's probably going to be more than that. There's probably going to be maybe an initial thoughts video and then going into the episode more in depth. Obviously, if you haven't seen the episodes, I would suggest not watching those podcasts, because obviously myself or whoever I'm talking with are going to be talking about those episodes, so we're going to be spoiling the hell out of those things. And then, obviously, when the show's over and done with, Tim Wells says, both Lost Highway and Mulholland Drive are really about guilt. You know what else is about guilt? The Straight Story. That thing is, that's just one of the most beautiful, amazing, but sad films you'll ever watch. Leonard says, I heard Lost Highway was inspired by the O.J. Simpson murders. I think that had a little bit about it, a part of it. Where Bobby is in life. All Twin Peaks all the time this summer. Yeah. Well, Bobby, I don't know too much, but I'm sure you guys have heard that, Bobby is probably, I think, I'm not positive, but I'm hearing that he works for the sheriff's department. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, it's kind of funny that a young punk that's sticking cocaine in people's motorcycles would later grow up to be a cop, but makes sense a little bit too if that happens. Tim says that he thinks the new season is going to be about Cooper's guilt. It's very possible. Very possible. all of Lynch's films, for the last 20 years have been about that. So, I mean, even in the Straight story, Alvin Straight talks about how somebody was watching his daughter Rose's kids, and there was a fire, and one of the kids got hurt bad, and that's why his daughter lost the custody of her children. And we know that Alvin is a recovering alcoholic, so I mean the implication is that Alvin himself got drunk, wasn't paying attention to the kids, and because of his own ways, lost his daughter's kids for her, and that's why he owes Rose so much. Drake says, I remember when Lynch was filming Inland Empire. I can't read it. Went too fast. I'm sorry. Repost it, please. Drake says, it would have been cool to see a Lynch film set in a circus scenario. Hey, if you want to see something like that, look up, what the hell is his name? Alejandro Jodorowsky. He made a film called Santa Sangre, which you can find a Blu-ray of, and it's pretty much like a Lynch film. Drake says, I remember when Lynch was filming Inland Empire and there was this rumors of a circus narrative. Unfortunately, in the final film, he scraps most of the circus. I haven't heard any of that, but I mean, why not? It makes sense. Very little in Inland Empire does, but I like that movie a lot. But and I know some people think it's just a great masterpiece of a film, but every time I watch Inland Empire or pieces of it, I go, this movie would be absolutely incredible if it was like 92 minutes long. I think 3 hours is a little bit much, but okay, the circus was brought up, I think, in the barbecue scene. Drake says, you got to be in the mood to watch that film. No, I agree. I totally agree. I saw that movie in the theater. Stunned silence. I mean, people did not like it at all. I was in a crowded theater. Nobody liked it. I was sitting there in the back, and you could just hear a pin drop. Yeah, that was an experience. People just walked out like, Jesus, what the hell was that? So that kind of tainted my experience of it. But whenever I watch it, I go, okay, that line could have been cut. That could have been tightened up a little bit. So I understand when Jennifer Lynch told me that she really missed Mary Sweeney's editing in Inland Empire, because it wasn't as tight as Lynch's work usually is. But anyway, Adamo says, Alejandro Jodorowsky, The Holy Mountain, amazing. And he was even going to be the original director of Dune. Tony says, since tomorrow marks the 1 week anniversary of the return, do we get one last teaser? Probably this week. That's what Frost is teasing us with a potential another teaser. So be on the lookout for that. I think there's probably going to be something dropping every other day, if not every day, because they got to boost up. Drake says, now Denis Villeneuve is doing Dune. Yes, he is. And believe it or not, before him, it was supposed to be... Wasn't it supposed to be Peter Berg? The guy who directed Lone Survivor? Yeah, I think he was supposed to direct it too. So, man, they're just passing it around. And this version of Dune might be incredible. It might be a great version of Dune. But Lynch's visuals are pretty damn striking in that movie. It's never going to top some of those Lynch visuals. It's just the way he filmed Baron Harkonnen and his family. Oh my god, that's amazing. I mean, it's the execution on the overall film, the editing and all that. Obviously, there was problems going on in the production, but again, no matter what, there's amazing things in it, right? So, anyway, if you guys have any last questions, Leonard says Lynch's Giddy Prime won't be topped. Drake says, on a side note, are you watching Alien Covenant next weekend? I am not. I have decided that I'm gonna wait for the Blu-ray release. Ridley Scott usually puts out amazing Blu-rays when it comes to films that he really cares about. Even Prometheus got like a 3 or 4 disc release. And that commentary and the documentary, it's amazing stuff. And if I'm gonna watch it anyway, I might as well watch it with all the bonus materials as well. And so I don't feel like paying twice for it. I gotta save my money. I got $100 worth of Twin Peaks I gotta buy this year. Tony Willock says, I was watching Riverdale season finale and the teaser came on. Nothing like seeing the teaser on live TV. Super awesome. And it makes sense to advertise on Riverdale, a show that, was not ashamed about borrowing itself from Twin Peaks. Also, I mentioned Veronica Mars, and of course, in that show, season 1 especially, Amanda Seyfried is in that, and she played Lily Kane, a girl that was murdered, and Veronica Mars is helping to solve that crime. And Lily Kane is definitely the Laura Palmer of the Veronica Mars universe, especially season 1. The creator of Veronica Mars, Rob Thomas, said that one thing he learned from Twin Peaks was to always solve the murder at the end of season 1. And I always thought, what a sly little dig that is, because let's be honest here, Twin Peaks season 1 isn't really a season. I mean, it's an abbreviated 7 episodes. It's more like a British series than a season. I mean, if Twin Peaks had... If you look at Twin Peaks, if you look from the pilot to when they wrap up Laura's murder, it's only 17 episodes, which is not even a full season of TV. All right, it took 22 episodes of Veronica Mars to solve the Lily Kane murder. It only took 17, including the pilot, to solve Laura's murder. So, the problem is back then, it was short season, and then there was a summer, and then then all this other stuff happened. So people got all weirded out that it was taking forever to solve this murder. But in reality, if you look at it, it didn't take that long. Jared Hall says Naomi Watts will be on late night on Wednesday. Yeah, Lynch is sending out all his actor friends out there, because he certainly doesn't want to go out there and do a bunch of interviews. Now that Jay Leno no longer does a show, Lynch would always show up on Jay Leno, but I don't think he really wants to make the rounds anymore. I don't blame him. It's just gonna be a bunch of people saying how weird he is and what kind of weird movies he makes. So, hope to see quiet scenes like the one where Major Briggs describes his vision to Bobby. You're gonna have plenty of room for that. I mean, you have 18 hours here. It's a lot of time to film. So, it can't just be all Cheryl Lee screaming in darkness with strobe lights, right? I couldn't watch the Magican interview because I'm locked out being in the UK. That's weird. I'm sure there's gonna be a bootleg of that interview sent around. There's Twin Peaks fans all over the world, and they're all gonna want to watch it. So I wouldn't worry. Adama says, I hope Kim Jong-un doesn't fry us all before the new Twin Peaks ends. Yeah, me too. That would really suck. I'd be even more pissed off that Lynch didn't do this thing like 10 years ago. The Hunt for Gollum says, you going to do another Campia vid? Probably not. The reason for even doing those vids is to begin with about John Campia was because I never had a problem with him when he was doing his For Your Consideration podcast. But once he got put as sort of the editor-in-chief of AMC Theaters, and they let this like wild man be in charge of the face and voice of their theater chain, I thought it was just a destructive way for them to be running their company. And so I was calling him out on a lot of stuff because I just was appalled by his behavior. But now that he's over at Collider or Comic Book or Comic-Con HQ, whatever it's called, I really couldn't care less because he's doing his movie stuff on a movie site. He's not, he's not the face and voice of Coca-Cola or something. He's just a voice in many voices. Dirty Boy Synagogue says, Red Letter Media are setting him up and his people up beautifully recently. Yes, they are, with all their nerd crew stuff, which is hilarious. Very, very cool stuff. Super funny. And, that was another thing I wanted to do was back when he was on AMC Movie Talk and AMC Theaters, is I wanted to start kind of like a movement so that other people would notice the kind of behavior he was doing, and maybe other people would join in. But very few people did. But now they're all joining in because Collider and all that stuff. But for me, I could care less. I mean, he's on a movie site doing his thing, whatever. But when he was on part of the AMC theaters thing, I was just appalled by the way he was treating everybody and all that stuff. So that's where all that came in. And believe it or not, the Twin Peaks video is very popular, but it was the John Campea ones that James and I did that took this channel. I mean, Campea used to talk about this channel a few times, and that would just bring over all his little fanboys over to us, and I would just be getting horrible death threats every day. How dare you talk about John Campea? So, James and I would just kind of create these hilarious little videos where we would mock him and some of the people he worked with, and even though we were fans of a lot of them, we would just we just delighted in creating kind of like this alternate weird scenarios that were going on over there and stuff like that. And I don't know, I always thought they were really, really funny, and they're still on the channel if you guys want to seek those out. But a lot of those people Campy doesn't work with anymore, so it's kind of irrelevant. But seeing James talking about, I wish I could meet you at Comic-Con and how I would worship you like a god and all that stuff, super, super funny stuff in my opinion. But anyway, that whole, I think that period is pretty much over with. Maybe someday I'll even meet John Campea if I ever get thrown into the Schmodown or something like that, or thrown onto movie fights or something like that. So you never know. There could be a video down the line where Cameron meets John Campea, and that'd be really funny. Dom says, I don't get how peeps can watch John Campea and Collider. Sore eyes to watch than merry heart. Tony Willock says, really hopeful for the new Halloween. From what I've been reading, we need a good old-fashioned horror film. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but hey, I do have some good news. I'll throw this out there because it was online, but Scream Factory is putting out a Teen Wolf Blu-ray, and which I love Teen Wolf, but they were having trouble finding the TV cut because the TV cut has some great deleted scenes that were never included, obviously, in the theatrical cut, and they couldn't find it. And I was like, wait, I think I have at least those scenes. So I went through my collection. I did indeed have those scenes. So I contacted Scream Factory, and I sent them a copy of the scenes. So there's a very good chance that the extended scenes from the TV cut will be on the Blu-ray. And they said, yeah, if we put them on the Blu-ray, you'll get a special thanks, and we'll send you a Blu-ray. Awesome. So that I can save that $40 and I can apply that to the new Twin Peaks. So anyway, but that's super awesome. It'd be super cool to know that those deleted scenes from Teen Wolf will be maybe on the Blu-ray, and it's all because I recorded them 20 years ago. Someone just asked if Mulholland Drive is going to get a 4K Blu-ray release. I sure hope so. Even though the Criterion disc looks great, there's one screw up in that disc. And I posted about it online, and people have recognized it, and even Criterion has acknowledged it, but they will not do replacement discs. So I'm hoping that there will be another release of it, so that hopefully that will be fixed. Because, it's really, listen, to me, it's everything. Dirty Boy seeing a guy, we can see that guy flashing his dick at the basketball game. That is not real. It looks real, but it's not real, I swear. Because even I fell for that for a brief time, but then I realized it's not real at all. But what was I talking about? I can't even remember now. Any other questions, guys? Or if someone wants to remind me what I was babbling about? Oh yeah, Mulholland Drive Blu-ray. They had if you watch the DVD and if you watch the streaming versions, right? It says a film by David Lynch, and then it fades in from blackness to the dancers dancing, right? And that's the way it was in the theatrical release. That's the way it was on the DVD. That's the way it's on the streaming versions. Thank you, Drake. You've been listening. Yes, the Criterion release eliminates the fade. So now it goes filmed by David Lynch, and then it goes to a still frame of the dancers for like half a second, and then it starts. So yes, they forgot to put in that fade transition into the Blu-ray release, which drives me nuts. I mean, Criterion, I love Criterion to pieces, but I mean, they left out a shot in Eraserhead and had to recall everything. Mulholland Drive is considered to be the greatest film of the 21st century so far. We need to have an unfiltered version. Put that damn transition back in there. Yes, it lasts all of like 0.5 of a second, but come on. It's supposed to be one of the most important films of all time, right? That's what the Criterion Collection is. We need to have it released the way it was released. And all this stuff about, well, Lynch oversaw it. Well, Lynch apparently oversaw the Eraserhead disc too, and we all know that had to be redone. So, anyway, I saw there was a couple comments that came up. I didn't get a chance to read them. So, throw them out there. If Adonis says, Mulholland Drive is a masterpiece. Drake says, Lynch isn't all there. Hey, be nice. He's created some of the greatest films of all time. And some of the stuff that I never will watch again, like Dumbland. Leonard says, any idea when you're doing the next commentary? Probably tomorrow. Some of the behind-the-scenes footage with Lynch for Inland Empire are hilarious as well. Oh, come on. The greatest one of all is, Tidbit, you're going to shoot yourself in the crotch. It's amazing. I actually put that clip on this YouTube channel. My cat was watching the TV, and I was just like, okay, let's put on the bonus features of Inland Empire. So I filmed her watching David Lynch chastising Laura Dern for almost shooting herself in the crotch, as he says. Hilarious stuff. So, all right, guys. I have been doing this solo for almost 1 hour and 50 minutes. Oh, my goodness. I'm surprised my voice is even still, like, audible. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll be doing a few commentaries soon, and then throughout the week I'll do a bunch more, and getting hyped up, getting prepped up for the new season. We're only a few days away. Leonard says, get some rest. I definitely will. Have a good night, everybody. It's always a pleasure. Thank you very much for tuning in. I wouldn't do this without you guys being here, so I really appreciate it. Have a good night. Talk to you guys soon.